All right, so now we will look at the second part of the drone app. What this part is going to do is try to use all that metadata, figure out exactly where the image goes, and then try to construct kind of one master image that contains each of the corrected drone images, and basically have that in one file that then can be returned and used in GIS or whatever. So we're basically picking up where we left off, but everything we from the previous exercise, remember, was written off, and so we're just calling back on it. And again, we're just pointing right back at that same directory, and these are the two packages that we're going to be using. So we'll just get back in that same directory. We'll call on that EXIF data that we saved off from earlier. You remember that, and we'll of course have that same list of images from before. So we have the metadata that we extracted out, and we have still our original images. I just like to set these clocks. All right. Oh yeah. All right. So I built a wildly complicated, overly complicated, but not as complicated as it used to be, function that will take one image and map it to where it goes. So it was it do it loads the image, and based on the direction the drone was flying at the time it took the image, we are rotating the image that much times one. Uh, and this is not correct. You'll see it as we get through the end here. This is too simple. It only works for half the images, and I haven't really investigated why. I just kept going to get all the parts of this thing working, but that we have to fall back on. So anyway, it does that, turns it back into a regular stacked image, grabs more metadata to figure out exactly the viewing angle, the viewing perspective of the camera when it took the images, and basically use that information to figure out where on the ground that image that it took belongs. So maybe later we'll go through all the individual parts of that, but for now, I have it in this function. And uh, so the way I wrote this is it executes on one image and kind of builds the model, and then it loops through and does all the subsequent images and adds them into this image. So remember from earlier, we had that base map that we saved off, and we'll go ahead and plot that on there just to show the area again that we're back working in. And uh, and then that, of course, is our first image. Oh, you see, I kind of skipped right past that. We grabbed the first image, executed our function, and what it did was took this base map, and you see right here, this was image number one that it has figured out basically where it belongs here. Uh, and there are lots of opportunities for refinement. We're using raw GPS data, and we haven't taken into account all of the orientation attributes that we have access to. So there's a lot of fine tuning that we can make. It's simply processing our GPS points with the known error of the day, and there's an open source tool for that, and we'll get that placement even better. But anyway, so there we are. So now we're going to make a blank raster that kind of covers that whole mapped area to use basically as the model then that's going to hold our image, the first image here, and then all the subsequent images. The subsequent images are processed here in this little loop that says, for all the remaining images, start doing your business, and it's actually processing the first image as well, uh, though it doesn't have to. So in the frame there and in the readout, it's taking the old coordinates and figuring out what the new coordinates are, and I just had all these plots in here just so that we could monitor the progress as it was unfolding. Excuse me one second. Okay. And that seeming different perspective each time it prints out is just kind of an artifact of how it's of the different plot features. In one case, just a regular figures being plotted, and then in another case, it's RGB plot. And it's different background stuff, so the output is just a little different. Okay. So then what we so 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 each image now is its own layer, and here we're just merging all those guys together. So what we have here now is really a single image that's made up of all those other images. Now this is just a subset of all the. A lot of times, whenever we do farms, we'll saturate the whole area with hundreds and hundreds of images, and then those all then can be summarized spatially. And here, the idea is that the user only has a couple of images, as we have here, and now we have these guys basically in a format that we could, use in a GIS environment. And this one line basically writes that out right there. Uh, now, to print all this stuff out, again, about 5 minutes to run on that. The plotting of this is not so straightforward. This is actually that Google that constructed base map that we made is actually in the background, and this this new image we constructed is laid on top of it. But the white here, I cannot make it transparent, even though I should be able to. So that's to be figured out. But anyway, so that's the second part, and we'll pick up a third part here, exercise 3, that we'll begin to do some analysis on these images, and as ultimately that's what we're after, to finish the drone app. So hope this video was helpful, and we'll get the next one up as soon as possible.